Okay, what made you want to share your story on the Let Me Speak campaign tonight?
Um, because it's an awesome platform, and when you came out the last time, it was something that I wanted to do right from then. I want to educate, I want to make people aware, all sorts of people, of what's happening and what's possible. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what your life looks like today?
Yeah. Today I'm a very proud mum, full time, and to my beautiful girl Mia, and I am in such a nice, happy place with myself for the first time, and that is quite an impressive thing for me
Despite
to
what
be
you've
able.
been
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really proud of myself.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So where does your story begin?
My story begins when I was 4 years old. I went to an auntie's house and nothing out of the normal. Don't remember any other kids being there. Somehow ended up being encouraged to play a game with an older cousin, turns out to be, and we went into a room. He got me to lie down on the floor, and I followed, thinking we were playing a game, just innocent as lying down, not knowing what was going on, and he then proceeded to get on top of me and tried to what the police now call is attempted rape. Yeah. I can go into further detail, but probably, I want my girl to be able to watch this one day. For a long time, because he did not penetrate, I never really thought it was sexual abuse. Turns out it was. Yeah. That was the first time it happened. It happened on 3 occasions. That took, I would say, no longer than 20 minutes, that whole episode, which is why I want to point out how quickly it can happen and the devastating effects it can have. When I had no idea what was going on. When I got up and, he kind of giggled and did this funny little laugh like, you better watch out, that's going to happen a lot. And I had my first panic attack, which until a lot of recovery and a lot of therapy, I didn't actually realise that's what it was. But it stuck in my mind now. Yeah, still today I can go back there. Sadly, I'm a lot stronger now, it happened again. That second time it happened, I was left alone, with a neighbour. All the kids used to play there. Somehow I was left alone again, 3-4 minutes, and he had me on the couch and was taking my pants down, and I saw something on the coffee table and grabbed it, and it was a pack of razors. So I opened them and proceeded to cut myself. And started bleeding, which was my safety net actually, and that got me away from him. So
did you, when you were alone with that neighbour, did you kind of have a feeling like, oh fuck?
It was real fast. That's what I mean. They take their opportunity so quickly. All of a sudden I was just there on my own. And as I say, I couldn't have been there more than 2-3 minutes before cutting myself, and then getting out.
Was that, do you feel, how old were you?
I would have been 5 then. Yeah.
5,
yeah.
And just going straight into survival mode,
yeah.
Seeing that razor.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know it was a razor. I actually was just, I think I was trying to get something to occupy my mind, or who knows. But yeah, I just cut it open, well, it opened, and I started playing with just, plain razors. Yeah, and cut myself, and it was like, shit. And he was like, oh, But I actually wonder if, it was somehow my body protecting me of the shock again, because I know another time after that, any time I got left with any males, it was terrifying for me. I'd have panic attacks and start crying, even kind people trying to help me. It was tough. And then going into a situation with another predator who was 65 at the time, and sadly I wasn't definitely not alone in that situation. It was in Waiheke back in the 70s, and I think there was at least 15 kids that ended up being abused by this one offender. He died a pretty painful death, I hear, but yeah, they are everywhere.
How did that happen?
How did that one happen?
Yeah.
Just family, friends, just you trust. And then I remember not trying to be left alone, and going into protection mode for other family members and stuff. But they really can be quite open about it, He used to try and force me to kiss when someone walked out of the room, like I was about 8 with him, and he would try, and pash me like a 65-year-old man, and an 8-year-old child. And, it got so bad once, and his house was kind of, like a play area. A lot of kids, went there and stuff, and he would have shooting targets and stuff up. And he would let us, play with, slug guns and stuff. So one time I kind of, he was putting up the targets, and I grabbed the gun and pointed the old trigger and pulled, I don't even know how I can comprehend doing that nowadays, but knowing that what he was doing really affected me. I've also been through a lot of therapy with that one, because it's scary to, actually think that that's how far you can go. But also knowing, they absolutely, every time it happened, it just ripped another part of me out, and left me completely violated and not knowing, what the fuck was wrong with me, and having anxiety, and, having very dark days, and not knowing why, why it was my fault.
Did you tell anybody?
Yes, I got asked with the 65-year-old, he was older at the time, if that happened to me, and I said yes, it did, and sadly, back in that time, no one really wanted to hear that, so it was just left.
So somebody asked, and you said yes, and nothing was done?
No. It was a very, very tough time back then, and it was not spoken about. It really wasn't. And I look at that now as a mum, and everyone can sit here and judge, how can nothing be said, because it just wasn't back then.
Why do you think that is?
Embarrassment on lots of places, and no one wants to face this. You still don't want to face it. No one wants to actually sit there and hear any, no mum wants to hear, Mum, I've been sexually abused. I don't even know what that is. How do you actually, even get over that as a mum, as a child? How do you get through that?
How did you feel when nobody did anything?
not important. A lot of my life. It's been tough. I was very much a daddy's girl. My daddy left when I was 2. It's been really fucking hard. But I also am strong. There's so many things that go on like that. I wasn't alone. I used to talk about it with other girls. That's why I'm so keen to speak out about this. I'm so normal in so many ways now. When I speak about this with so many different people, all walks, I've sat down with so many different people, and sadly, I will tell my story, and someone else will generally open up about the same thing. And I'm talking about men, women, kids. If you know me or you've sat down with me, you'll know I'm very passionate about protecting our children about this. It is devastating. It's trauma, and I didn't realise that for a long time. I blocked it out.
What effects did that have on you, like growing up?
I started smoking weed and drinking 13 to 14 and excessively, and really did that for most of my life up until I really probably became a mum.
Did those experiences affect your relationships?
Yep, absolutely, 100%.
In what way?
I did not value myself a lot of the time, so I was very promiscuous, as we say. I will straight out say right now, I'm not ashamed of what I've done. I've worked really hard, and I have reasoning behind why I felt so shit about myself, and I see now how affected I was now that I'm on another side. I've been through depression, every kind of mental issue you can have. I was on medication, a huge amount of medication. Some doctors would sit there and say to me, "Are you sure that's the right amount?" And and I'm like, "Yep." But I'm also really proud of myself. I set myself a target last year, and my medication is no longer, something. I've reduced it right down, and now, I'm ready to, go medication free, which is massive. I just know that that's, something that helps me sometimes, and a lot of people are scared to go down that path, and of a lot of things. But I'll be honest, I've tried everything. I'll try it, if it helps me become better in my mind. And
if that, when was that moment that you thought to yourself, "Fuck, I need help," like to reach out about that?
Yep. I've been having counselling since I was about 13. When it actually, sadly, other cases came out about the 65-year-old, so it did get to the police stage. Unfortunately, that's as far as it got. He got interviewed, nothing further. So from that point on, I did get help through counselling.
And was that through the police?
That was through help when they came to interview us again about, when charges they were thinking about laying charges. Yeah.
And how was that having to go to counselling and things like that at that age?
It was okay. It was good. I got to talk, and I really know how much it actually probably helped me going to the counselling sessions back then. I know that later I stopped going to them. Other things started happening in our lives and stuff, and I just went down another path, left school, and started working, and made new friends, completely wiped it out, and just, got on with my life. Had fun, as everyone did. Everyone's got stories and, demons in their closet, so you just go hard and, and so that's what I did. Went to the UK, did my OE, went travelling, I just absolutely nailed it. I became a travel agent, I had one of the best careers, with Flight Centre, and I currently still work with one of the coolest, travel teams we have.
How do you go through something like that, and then, what kind of state of mind do you have to be in before you can pick yourself up and say, fuck it, I'm still going to live my life like you have?
I just carried on. I had I would burn it out. I'd work so hard, and you just go hard, play hard, work hard, and and I was having fun. It's you block it. That's what you do. You recover. But then when I became a mum, I realised I couldn't run from my demons.
Block it, eh?
Yeah.
You can't block it.
Can't block it forever, and I didn't want to, And my biggest fear was that happening to her. My girl, our daughter's name is Mia, which is Spanish for daughter and love. She is everything, and I never want that to happen. I can protect her as much as I can, but, I can't be there 24/7.
What do you think would have protected you from having to go through that? What things, could have made things a bit different for you back then?
I honestly don't think there's anything. I think that opportunity, and I realise that, you can be as, and do as much prep and whatever. 10 minutes can absolutely be all the difference. I think when there's predators, they know they've got that gap and they'll use it. And so that's where you've got to be, aware. I teach my daughter, safe touch. No one touches you. Yep, absolutely. That's her safe spot. Those are her possessions. No one touches anyone. No one has the right to put their hands on you if you don't want it. That doesn't matter what sort of, I want to be able to encourage all of the kids, my daughter, my nieces, my nephews, all of them, that's yours. That's the only thing you will absolutely only ever have complete control over, and it's yours.
What do you think needs to be done about, like, for example, when you try to speak out?
Yeah,
nothing was done. What do you think is...
Things are so much different these days, I've recently gone to the police again to charge the first perpetrator, which has been so awesome for me,
What made you want to, go in and fucking and do that?
Because it wasn't my fault. About a year and a half ago, I've been in therapy for the last 10 years, on and off and stuff, and getting to, trying to overcome my anxiety and depression, knowing, I keep losing friends, suicide, everything, you try and talk to everyone. And my friends would come to me and say, how do I help? When they found out I had depression or stuff, and I was like, fuck, I don't know, because I don't know what's going to work for me, So I really, with the support, of my family, my sister, mum, husband, and, so many people, I've actually been able to overcome so many, so many things that I just actually want to make sure that, I did the absolute most I could to hold him to account. This original perpetrator, here he is walking around. He's still walking around. He was avoiding the police calls at the moment, and he's a family member. We reached out to try and get a resolution years ago through, our family.
And what happened? Nothing.
And nothing. And so this is it. This is my chance to speak. Because when we had lockdown last year, I went I kind of locked down. I thought, shit, oh my god, what, I was in a good place with everything, and I was like, what's if something happens and I don't actually, I can't tell anyone what he did. So the minute we came out of lockdown, I walked straight down to the Onehunga police station and started writing my, story down.
How did that feel?
I was
liberating.
Yeah, it was incredible. When we dealt with the police when we were sort of 13, 14, it was a horrible time, it was, no one believed us, it was shit. This time, for all the grief that police get in these cases, there's so many changes that have been made, which is so encouraging, for survivors. And, I don't use the word victims. That's not me.
Yeah.
I'm a warrior, mate. This is, shit. I'm on a crusade to make sure that everyone is aware that, it has to stop. It's predators have histories. It's not usually once or there's so many families affected by one offender.
Yeah.
Quite often. So yeah.
What in your eyes, what could society do to try to stamp this out?
Talk.
Aye.
Yeah, absolutely. Be aware. And when we, in my generation, you can't speak out. You fucking are. You just don't do that. You can't actually talk about that stuff, but you can. Today we can. We're so lucky. I'm not alone, sadly. I can stand up and there'll be people I know that will actually, hopefully, just sit there and go, yeah, no, it's my turn, It's time. When I was sitting there doing my interview, when you are interviewed in these cases, sensitive cases, they record you in case, when it goes to trial and stuff. And I just sat there and, told my story. And I remember took an hour and a half just, sitting there replaying things, the recalls, everything, just sitting there. And all I could think, was, it wasn't my fault,
As you're talking about it, is it like a flame fucking burning, blazing inside you?
Yeah,
kind of
because
anger?
I did carry, their burdens. It was my fault. I was a kid. Do you know what I mean? You can't actually, that's not acceptable. And for all the anxieties and stuff that I carried for so many years, it wasn't my fault. You hear that is it. When we learn that it's not our fault, you get a strength, to actually look. I want to look, this predator in the eye and make sure he knows I won. Do you know what I mean? There's just no way, mate. You need to absolutely own this. He had no right to do that. One of the things in therapy, it's like, what kind of outcome do I want from this? Do I want him to go to jail? It's not for him. Yes, I want him charged. The police sat there and said to me after, reading my stories and stuff, I'm going to, charge him with attempted rape. Do you know what that's like to hear after 40 years? That's a violation. And it wasn't my fault. It was so freeing to actually, when the policeman, Hayden finished taking my interview, he walked in and he gave me the thumbs up and he was just like, that was awesome. For the first time, the police believed me. And not only believed me, they were like, yeah, this is it. I felt like, yeah, I can speak, because there's so many of us that can't. And I'm just going to, because it wasn't my fault, and now, after all the shitty days I've had, I really just want to be happy, want to be able to actually show other people the other side. It doesn't define you. I can sit here and give you a million stories. I will talk about this because I will, be happy to tell people that I've also, through all those anxieties, for all those times I was sitting there crunched over in absolute just hear it, that I won, you know. And I'm going to be better for learning, you know. My girl's not going to go through this. Mia will not have to deal with this. She will be aware. She knows to yell, stop, that's not what I want. No means no. We need to make sure, you know. And it's not just, you know, everyone, boys, girls, intimidation shouldn't, you know, because it's a power. I get very passionate.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Whānau has asked this, when one is ready, how do they start their journey to healing? What advice can you give?
There's so many places now. I am a very big supporter of HELP, at the foundation in Auckland. They have been around for a long time, and when we were children they had support groups. That is something I'm so passionate about starting up, as many places as we can, because speaking out around sisters, brothers, anyone where you feel normal, it makes it so much easier. You know, I am so blessed to stand, you know, I get my chance to speak tonight behind, you know, 3 beautiful women who, you know, who are proud to finally be able to put this behind us all and just be happy that, you know what, you know, this is off our backs. You know, we rise to, you know, if that question's already coming in, you know, we've made a difference. We're going to educate people. Because it shouldn't be happening not today. You know, every day, the more cases you read about, they're just going to keep, you know, coming. When I did my first interview with the videos, it was the day it came out about Dilworth School. There were charges against teachers, students at Dilworth School in Auckland, private boys' school, or, you know, and they had advised if anyone else had been affected, you know, please step up. Or and there were 50 calls within a 24-hour period. So I'm not alone, you know. It's one of the things I felt so alone forever. But I'm not.
Why did you feel so alone?
Because I would talk about it and no one, you know, no one knows what to say, how to fix it. How do you talk about that? No one wants to hear it. Yeah. I've had that conversation because it's raw. No one wants to ever hear that. You're talking of a child, you know, and an adult. Someone abusing a child of innocence, and someone that knows better and that has that trust, you know. And it's nationalities does not matter, you know. I look at this, you know, I come from the far north, and there's always so many stories and stuff. And I need to make it very clear that the whānau I'm talking about is from my Pākehā side, not my Māori side. You know, it's very small, and it doesn't matter what race, you know, what creed, anything, money, you know, wealth, it doesn't matter. It's everywhere. But it doesn't have to be, you know. We teach our tamariki, yep, that's not going to happen to me. My mum said it's okay. My dad says it's okay. You can't touch me. Yeah. You know, and we do talk. And it is normal not for adults to touch these private parts in an uncomfortable way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Where to from here for you?
Well, I promised my girl Mia, she has my full attention tomorrow, because this is all I've been, you know, concentrating on. I just want to talk. I want someone, you know, to, if anyone's interested in listening, to hear what I've got to say, you know, to speak about my successes and my failures of, you know, hard days, but also of how much when you get well, you can stay well, you know. And there's a lot out there at the moment of issue with mental health. No, you know, we're overcrowded. You can't get a counsellor at the moment. My therapist, I said to her, you know, I was having a moan, and I was like, shit, you know, this isn't fair, you know. And she's like, we stretched, mate, you know. There's absolutely, you know, things are getting reported, things are changing, But it's it takes time. Support groups, though, I think are a really important way to go. One or two people can make all the difference. Our group, what you guys have done. There's what speaker number 11. Yeah. And it's just going to get better, because I'm proud. I'm proud of who I am for the first time in so long, and I've worked hard to get where I am despite all of that stuff, and all I want to do is help other people realise you can get through.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What's your advice to anyone that might be watching that has been through something similar?
Talk to someone, anyone, find someone, and sometimes a stranger works. If you, counselling is quite hard to commit to, I think, because you'll always get the stories of, I can't find a right counsellor. I've had, maybe 10 to 12 in my life, but the one I have now, is just on point. She teaches me so much, and I then in turn teach my friends. I'm teaching, my whānau relationships, how to communicate, how to actually go from being so manic and to actually, hang on, there is, a purpose and reasoning behind this. All I want to do is actually share wisdom and, and do what we do. Yeah.
That's awesome. Is there anything else you want to share?
Yes, I want to just give a massive shout out to some really, really amazing people. Lois Nicholson was my hero growing up. She spoke out about some police officers years ago, and she's a very strong advocate. I wrote to her when I asked her to come on the program, because she didn't know how much hope she gave me, of actually getting it to the point where, you get it to, is so far with the police and stuff, and sometimes you're never going to get the verdict you want, but the actual process and getting it there is worth all the heartache and pain. And then there's also a very special lady officer, police officer, who was attacked last year and spoke up and told her story because it wasn't her fault, and I followed her, and she was such an inspiration, and I just want to make sure that those people know, what you're doing next, what we're doing, it makes a difference. The more people we speak, I've heard about Jess and Brave, the impact and the support that is going to be out there for this it's our turn. It wasn't our fault, so I'm just going to make sure that, when you can get through that side, you find, some good ways. It's never a perfect day. It's never gonna be, but I certainly know how to deal with some real bad demons. Yeah.
You're on, girl.
Yeah.
You're on. Okay. Well, I just want to say you have inspired so many people by sharing your truth tonight, and we truly appreciate you and everything that you've shared with us. I think you're fucking awesome. I think you're strong. You're hearty. Especially and all the whānau. Actually, this is the last kōrero for the Let Me Speak campaign, and to all the women that have shared, just fucking strong as all is. So
blessed. My soul sisters, the girls in our group, have been nothing but, and we got this. And we'll make a difference, which is why we all came here.
How important is that for you because what you guys are doing is turning your wounds into wisdom.
Absolutely.
And giving, people out there that are watching the strength to say, fuck, if she can fucking do it, so can I.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I want to do. Anyone can do this. It doesn't matter. This is for me. I'm free from burden and blame.
Do you think that's what
now.
A lot of people need to do? Is
Absolutely.
Just think of you and do it for you?
Yes, but it was bizarre coming, actually realising this was for me to be free, but the reasoning behind it is I never want this to happen to anyone else. Do you know what I mean? I never want anyone to go through that. So
because it's not just about that moment.
No.
I mean, look at that, 40 years.
Yeah. And I've been, on the roller coaster, I've been so high, and then just so low, but it's about working out the boundaries, about what your levels are, and actually learning that what doesn't break you, makes you stronger. Yeah. And you can just learn, I was angry for a long time and I'm still angry, but I just focus it, in a different way now. Yeah.
Because you could put all their anger over here and they still win, even though they're, years ago they did it, but they still win because they have control over your life, eh?
Yes.
Or you can pour that
it's a
energy.
Release now, I feel like, I didn't know how I was going to feel, when the police, said, we're going to go and see him and this is what we're going to charge him with. And then, he's disappeared, can't be found, that mofo will be running now,
Were you satisfied with the way the police have dealt with it? Or?
Yes, I am. I am so blessed. I have an amazing officer looking into my case. I absolutely, my therapist and my police officer at the moment have just, really made it so encouraging for me to go forward and actually speak. There was questions at times whether or not, with the court case, whether I could speak. And the choice was I always wanted to speak, It's my turn. It's not my fault. And I just want to smile about that.
You couldn't speak when you were younger?
Yeah, absolutely. And even when I did, it's not, people don't want to hear it, but people have to. That's the hardest thing. Sitting there, I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to go through it.
Yeah.
That wasn't my choice, but anyone affected by this, all you want to do is actually support that warrior. Do you know what I mean? They have been violated. There's so much help, getting organised for, people like me through ACC and stuff, but there's always, hiccups and stuff, but with the right people, kind of leading a pathway, this will help us get over it, and I don't mean get over it. I said to my, therapist the other day, why, when will I ever be over this? No, I won't. It changed my life, but I also know that it's all good now because that wasn't my fault, I sit there and I could say, what if, mate, I don't change a day of my life today if it does not mean I don't stand here with my baby girl. I'll give up everything for her and to stand right now as I am with her, and I get to do that and tell my story.
You're awesome, Claudette. Well, thank you so much for sharing tonight.
That's all right. Thank you, everyone.